Welcome back to Twist of Fate, where you can find your inspiration as a small business owner, entrepreneur, or even an aspiring entrepreneur if you're looking to make your dreams come true. Today's episode is dedicated to those that may underappreciate the benefits of walking upright. That's right, people like me. You see, life can bring change, the type of change that it sometimes can bring mobility impairment. And my special friend and guest today is going to talk about how he is looking to address said issues with mobility. Today, I have Alfons from Able Human Motion here to talk about his mission to bring freedom and independence of walking to all. Alfons, my friends, welcome to Twist of Fate.
Hi, Doug. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here and looking forward to explain us more about our mission at Able.
Fantastic. Now, Alfons, this is a special international episode. Could you tell our listeners, where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from Barcelona, Spain. It's a beautiful city in the east of Spain. It's an innovation ecosystem also for startups in tech, in technology, and also in the healthcare domain. We are located here in Barcelona, Spain, and we have a global ambition to make people walk again.
Okay, that, my friend, it comes from a very personal place for you. Maybe we start with that. If you could tell people a little bit why this cause of helping people walk upright is special to you.
Yes, when I was young, I was into sports, like most of the kids. I used to play basketball at that time, and I was good at studies. I loved mathematics. I loved physics, and I did my bachelor's in industrial engineering. But at that time, when I was finishing the bachelor's, my father had a stroke that changed completely his life and the life of the people surrounding him. So I saw...
and that stroke had mobility impairment as a result, correct?
Exactly. He had a mobility impairment, half of his body, and he was barely able to write a simple sentence or to grab a pen or to speak at that time, no? So I saw him through the rehabilitation process, going here in a couple of hospitals here in Barcelona. I also saw how this rehabilitation was delivered, the techniques and the tools used during rehabilitation, and I thought that this was something that could have been improved because the rehabilitation nowadays in most of the hospitals has not changed barely in the last 50 years. So
that assumption is you had a physical therapist that would manually assist him either with parallel walking bars or some type of crutch and I agree with you that part, which is kind of like the basics of rehabilitation, it hasn't changed for a long time.
Absolutely, and this is the reality in most of the clinical institutions worldwide. There are some that have the possibility to afford one robotic device, and they provide this robotic rehabilitation that has proven to be more efficient. But it's just a few centers that can offer this, and as a result, patients can only benefit from this robotic therapy for a few weeks. And after that, when they are discharged from the hospital, they are not able to use these technologies to walk again. No? So this is why this is the idea behind and my purpose also as a person, as an entrepreneur, and our company purpose, which is to create technology that is great, that can benefit many individuals, but also that is accessible. No? So many clinics around the world can offer this. Luckily, my father, he's able. He recovered mobility. He had a second stroke, but he recovered mobility again, and nowadays he's able to walk. But many people around the world has not had the same luck as he.
Okay, so let's So if I were to summarize for my listeners, first of all, you're a very inspirational man because you chose to take a personal issue in your family and to let that be what you wanted to solve to make the world a better place as an entrepreneur. And what you did was you dedicated your money, your time, your effort into building a robotic exoskeleton, a new innovative robotic exoskeleton. First of all, I admire you for that, my friend. But maybe let's talk a little bit now about Able. So you started a company, right? And
Yes.
you have a co-founder. So why don't you talk about Able, the mission you mentioned is to have everybody walk upright with an affordable approach to robotic exoskeleton technology. But tell us about the story. Like how did you begin Able, and how did this all begin?
Yes, this all began 5 years ago as a research project of the University Polytechnic of Catalonia, the UPC, where there was a professor here in the university, Josep Maria, who started this idea of creating robotic tools that can be more accessible. No? And after that, we analyzed the market. We also went out of the university to ask many people, many professionals, many experts on which was the clinical need that needed to be solved. So we did more than 100 interviews with clinical professionals, with administrators from hospitals, with therapists, with patients, to understand better the problem that our technology needed to solve. No? And after that, seeing that clearly there was a need to be solved, then we created the company. This was 3.5 years ago. And we also, at that time, saw the need to turn a prototype into a real product. As you know from your past experience, it's a total different thing, no? Having something that works in the lab or something that works in the real world. And this is when I told to Alex. Alex is my co-founder. He was a colleague of mine in the university, and at that time, 3 years ago, he was working in an electronics company here in Barcelona. And I don't know how, but I was able to convince him to start this crazy adventure. But today we can say that it has been such a fantastic journey. We have been here 3 years. Now we are 15 people employed, and we have ambition to keep growing and to keep delivering better therapy to many patients.
Full disclosure to my listeners, I've been working with Alfons for about a year on this project, so I'm also part of this story of Able. But Alfons, I think one of the things that really resonated with me is your approach to human-centric design. You guys did a lot of research in understanding people living with spinal cord injury, people living with stroke, whether they're left or right afflicted or left or right weak. And I think the approach you have to your design is very elegant. Maybe would you mind exploring, or at least explaining to my audience and my listeners a little bit why your approach is a little more unique than some things that we've seen in the marketplace?
Yes, you're totally right, Doug. What we have done is to develop quick prototypes and test them as soon as possible with as many patients and therapists as possible. No? Today, the exoskeleton has been tested by over 100 spinal cord injured patients, and it has been also tested by many therapists that have provided their feedback, so we could improve and develop new iterations of the exoskeleton. The exoskeleton that we are currently assembling is the 8th iteration that we have, prototype iteration that we have manufactured and tested. And finally, it's the final one. No? So there were 7 previous iterations that were tested and improved thanks to the feedback of all these people that is collaborating with us. And what makes our technology unique is this way of how we put the feedback from clinicians and from patients in the very center of our innovations. So our engineering team can develop technology, but we develop technology based on these needs that we detect, not the other way around, developing a technology and then testing it. So this has been very important, and the result of this has been a technology that is much lighter. So it's twice lighter as any other solution in the market. It's much
Which it helps with transportability. It helps with being able, like you mentioned, manual therapy. It's easier to move it, to manipulate it.
exactly, and also to operate more autonomously. So because our final goal is to give full independence to the patient, no? And this is related with the second characteristic of our technology, which is that it's very easy to use and intuitive. And by this, we mean that, for example, to put on and to take off the exoskeleton, you can do that in less than 7 minutes, when with comparative devices, they do from 10 to 30 minutes. Just for
no
this,
tools, right?
We take most of the time, and no tools.
Got
The therapist can adjust the exoskeleton and also the patient himself to any person between 150 and 190 centimeters without using any tool, no? And it's very easy to adjust. And also what we have done is...
And the benefit of that, Alfons, my interpretation is that can help the clinical scheduling of patients, because if you have multiple patients, multiple manipulations or size changes, you could fall behind in your daily work schedule. But with this, it seamlessly integrates into the clinical routine.
Absolutely. This was a clear input from the very beginning from clinicians, and something that was very important for us. And yes, if the therapist has 1 hour rehabilitation, now we can say that they can use most of it for delivering this gait training exercise. So this is one thing. The other important thing about this intuitiveness is the way that the device is controlled. So for those patients that are more in the initial level, no, the people, for example, with an acute injury or people with high level spinal cord injury that does not preserve a lot of trunk motor capabilities, with them, the therapist can fully control the exoskeleton. So the first time they use the device, they are able to walk because it's the therapist who is doing all the different motions of the device. But then, as they progress through the rehabilitation program, the device adapts to this therapy. So, for example, they have a remote controller that patient can use, so they can operate the device completely autonomously.
On a mobile phone, on like a mobile phone, like it's a simple.
No, this is attached on the walker or in the crutches, and from there they can operate whether they want, for example, to stand up, to walk, to turn, to stand, to sit down. The mobile app that is also integrated with the device is used by therapists to personalize, no, and to deliver a therapy that is data driven. So we have performance metrics, for example, of how each patient is improving. And all this is stored in a cloud service that has all the sessions of each patient available for the therapist.
You can bring functional independence back to those that have it with a device that's lighter weight, it's easier to use, and it has technological innovation to even give control back to the patient to be involved with their own rehabilitation. And let me tell you, my friend, radical notions. I've talked about it in this podcast before. I've worked in this sector with exoskeletons before, but I can tell you, this is great stuff. Now, let me ask you this. Another thing, obviously, with this podcast being business related, you and I have been working together in building a business around this. And one of the things that, I think that's been important to you, which is an inspiration, is, you really want affordable access to this technology for clinical institutions, for patients, just across the board. And I think that's my compliment to you. I think that, I talk about a lot of entrepreneurs of finding their passion and working towards their passion. And that if you're doing innovation and providing value and it's making the world a better place, the money will come. And I do believe that, and I salute that. So if just to transition, Alfons, you're actually, this is not hypothetical like a research experiment anymore. This is now becoming a very real thing. So you are going to Rotterdam, Netherlands pretty soon, correct? You're going to be flying over there.
Yes,
For a launch of this
in less
technology.
than in just about a week, we'll be going there. And you were totally right, Doug, about the price. This is very important for us, and we put many efforts on this because we don't want to sell dozens of exoskeletons. We want to sell thousands to many clinics and to many patients, so they can benefit of this life-changing technology.
Yeah, look, economic. So let's say this. I think for the sector, that has been a barrier to providing better care for all, is just the challenges of maintaining the design, the serviceability of an exoskeleton. But this is where you have a breakthrough innovation. And what I applaud is, but you're still willing to give back to make it affordable so that all can have it. But now, in the Netherlands, you're going to Rehab Week, which is, very cool. I have a few friends that are going to present research. Maybe you could tell my listeners what's all going on there. Like you have a couple sessions, a couple things you're involved with. So tell us more about what you're doing in Rehab Week.
Yes, well, just to give a little bit of context, Rehab Week is a leading conference for rehabilitation technology that is organized every 2 years in one part of the world. No? And this year it's in Rotterdam, starting on the 25th of July. And it's a very important event where researchers, academics, clinicians, and companies gather together to discuss the future of this field. No? There are already more than 800 people registered, so I hope it would be a success. We are really looking forward to that, and we will be participating as a company in two main ways. So first, on Monday, we are organizing an industry workshop where we will present our able exoskeleton to the world, which, as we explained, it will be the world's lightest and easier to use and more accessible exoskeleton. And in that session that we're organizing on Monday at 8:15 a.m., experts in rehabilitation from the hospitals Institut Guttmann and Heidelberg University Hospital in Germany will be explaining how they have integrated this device into the regular clinical practice.
And part of that, you're going to have a live demonstration too, right? Like my understanding is you're going to have an ambassador or an individual living with spinal cord injury to walk in the exoskeleton so people can see it, right?
Exactly. We are bringing a couple of ambassadors, people that that suffered a spinal cord injury, to demonstrate the device with a case study that we will be running in this workshop. One of these individuals is a spinal cord injury with a lower injury, so he's more active. He has more motor skills, and the other one is more challenging. Is a cervical injury that we'll be using also our exoskeleton, and we're really looking forward to that. And finally, apart from this workshop, we are also we will be in the exhibition booth. It's booth number 10. So please, if you are around Rotterdam, come to the Rotterdam Ahoy and say hello. We will be there from Monday 25th to Thursday 28th of July.
Yeah, I know this is kind of the inflection point for you guys because all the hard work, all the research, all the studies, as you mentioned, 8 iterative designs, it all came down to this. So I first of all, my applaud to all of the Able Human Motion organization, to yourself, Alfons. We talk every Friday. I know what this means to you personally. Bravo, my friend, just bravo. Now, if you don't mind sharing with my listeners, let's talk a little bit about some of the, let's say this. As an entrepreneur, I feel every day is different. This is why it's exciting. But by different, I mean, it can be ups and downs, right? Like there's challenges all the time. So is there any challenges that you faced that you think that you could share with my audience on, how you dealt with it, how you faced it, or anything that resonated for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Too many. I think we could stay here talking until tomorrow. But yes, I mean when you try to build a device, a technology that is so complex as that one, and when also it involves hardware and software, and is a medical device, then it's like the maximum complexity that you can get. No, so if you want to solve problems, this is your field. so. So just to explain like some of the problems, for example, the first iterations the first prototype that we developed were only tested in 3 spinal cord injured patients. And we thought that they were great because they were working so well with those 3, no? Because they were designed for them, no? So when we go out and we started testing the device with many other individuals, we realized of what a challenge that was, no? Because they had different sizes, because some got some spasticity, for example, it's like a rigidity in some of the joints, no? Others had one leg larger than the other one, a wider thigh. No, each person is different, no? And to develop a technology that can benefit most of this patient population, no, it's a huge challenge. So this is why my recommendation for entrepreneurs is to test as soon as possible with as many people as possible.
For yourself, I mean, it's a challenge in that you anticipated that there would be this high variance of different compensatory symptoms or things that you'd see, but it's not the same as seeing it in the real world, right?
No, and actually when we try the device, we learn almost nothing. So and the same happens in the computer. It's different from a robot, from like, for example, these cheetah robots, no, of Boston Dynamics, or these kind of things, no. They interact with an environment that is there and does not change, no. In our case, the environment is constantly changing, no, because this person, that the user of the exoskeleton, every time is doing a different thing, and each person is different, no. So the robot needs to be like very safe and needs to understand very well this interaction that is constantly changing, no. And this is a huge challenge for exoskeleton developers.
I think this is a great lesson learned for all of my listeners out there, in that, I mean, I'm a planner. So you can do your business plan, you can do your marketing plan. In terms of what's translatable from what Alfons is saying here is that you can assume, scenario plan, hypothetically all you want, until you actually go out in the real world and see how how your product market fit works for your customer. You have to plan for a phase to do that, or otherwise you're going to miss things. And then as a result, your product, you could have the right approach, but maybe there's some tweaks and some changes that need to happen to really meet your customer needs. So thanks for sharing that. I think another point I want to raise, because I know you're going out there with one of my friends, I believe Karen Nolan from the Kessler Institute is going to be out there presenting her own research. Maybe you could talk a little bit about, you've built a coalition of people that are in the area or experts in the area. Like, you even reached out to me, right? Like, so maybe you want to talk a little bit about, you've created an advisory board and other team members, and kind of what your logic and thoughts were around that.
Yes, we are a team of 15 people, very talented, but also very young, and very passionate, but also very young. So this is why we need to surround ourselves from experience. Our team collects like the best mechanical engineers, the best software engineers. We also have people working on electronics. We have like very smart guys that know very well how to develop such a complex robotic device as ours. But as you said, like, it's very important, no, to surround ourselves from key collaborations. No? For example, we collaborate very closely with several clinical institutions. In fact, we have 26 clinical collaborations already active. Some of them, for example, this hospital, no, in neurorehabilitation here in Badalona, which is Institut Guttmann, which is the largest hospital for spinal cord injury patients in Spain. Also, the Heidelberg University Hospital in Germany, or for example, the HOPS Rehabilitation, which is a group of 10 different centers across the UK that work in neurological rehabilitation. No? And this is just some examples, no, of these clinical collaborations that are so important, because when you have the device ready, then you can very quickly, with just some visits, no, test and gather relevant feedback on how the device is performing and which are the different features that need to be improved. And also, apart from this, more on the business side and also on the clinical side, we have built an advisory board with members as Karen Nolan, as you said, from the Kessler Institute. We also have Marc Cortés from Mount Sinai, which is a very important hospital, and another friend of you in near New York. No? Then we also have Paolo Bonato from the Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital. We have people from the European Center in Neuroscience, no? Like José López here in Spain. We also have collaborators more on the business side, like John Collins, which is the CEO of the CIMIT, which is the Consortia for Improving Technology with Innovation in Boston. So it's like mentors and experts that we have met during this journey, and that they believe in our motive, in our purpose, and they join this adventure, no? And they are being very helpful to make the right steps.
Yeah. Also, big shout out to one of our other Twist of Fate guests who works with you, Ross Angold, as well, right? So that's a close friend of mine. Really glad. And I think, to my listeners, what you can hear from this point and take away, this is the third time I mentioned this, that the cardinal sin of the entrepreneur, I'll do it myself. And one thing that I applaud Alfons here is he's built this coalition, which is kind of like having wind in your sail and gas in your motor. That means you can move, you can go faster than what you could by yourself. So I really applaud that. Alfons, we should talk about, this device will be good for certain patient populations, or, to some of my listeners that may not be aware, like, what are the type of patients that could benefit from walking upright in an exoskeleton?
Yes, our first indication is people with a spinal cord injury, either complete injuries or incomplete injuries that still preserve some motor capability. And from any level between cervical level 7 to down to lumbar 5, no? So almost all the different spinal cord injury levels. And this is our indication. The device has been tested with this population and has proven to be safe and usable for this population. And future indications will include also people with a stroke, with multiple sclerosis, for example, also, and ELA or Parkinson also. No? So there are many other indications, motor impairments, people with disabilities that could benefit from this technology. We started where they had the biggest problem, no? That is, these people that cannot stand upright and cannot walk by their own. And we will be moving through this spectrum to also benefit like people that still preserve some motor functions. And this is why we are developing some new features on this exoskeleton, but also we have in our pipeline other developments for people, for example, with mild stroke, mild impairments due to stroke.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to break the fourth wall here. If you're a Twist of Fate listener and you're out there and you know someone that is experiencing mobility impairment, whether that be for any of the type of indications Alfons mentioned, stroke, incomplete, complete, whether you're spinal cord injury,
multiple sclerosis, stroke.
MS, yeah, absolutely. If you're experiencing these things, one, make sure you know all your clinical options. Talk to your physician, talk to your community. You should definitely encourage any individual to consider rehabilitation with robotic exoskeletons. I mean, obviously, I have my favorites, right? And, Alfons is one of them. But I think one message between both me and Alfons is, we want everybody to get the best care possible. And there are solutions out there. And, as you can hear in this episode, there's a great solution on the way. So definitely do that. Now, Alfons, Twist of Fate listeners can be investors, they can be entrepreneurs, there's business people, there's aspiring business people. If they're inspired by your story and what you're doing at Able Human Motion, how can they get in contact either with your company or like your website? Like, where can they find out more information about what you're doing?
Our website is the name of the company.com, so ablehumanmotion.com, and there they will find our contact number and our email. Also, if they are interested, they can also write to me. My email is acarnicero, so A from Alfons and my surname, carnicero, ablehumanmotion.com. And I'll be happy to talk to them.
Excellent. And Alfons, as we've been talking, like, you're also raising funds as Able Human Motion as a startup within itself. So if I summarize correctly, you would be, turning to my listeners, the life cycles of a startup is pre-seed, seed, Series A, Series B, Series C, and then eventually the company may go public. Alfons, you're at the start of the journey, right? So you're still pre-seed, but if you don't mind, like, you're raising funds. Is there any message to the investment community that you'd like to share with them?
Yes, currently we are closing a bridge round of 700k euros, and next year, in the beginning of next year, we will be raising a Series A investment of 4 million euros that we will use for the commercialization of the device within Europe. So if you are an investor looking for nice opportunities, I would like to talk to you and to explain you more things about Able and the disruptive technology that we're creating.
Yeah, fantastic, Alfons. And my love letter to the community out there, if you're thinking about entrepreneurism, fundraise every day of your life. Never stop looking for help and resources. You can bootstrap it yourself, which, that is a courageous thing, is a courageous act, but heroism isn't scalable. You're going to need support. You're going to need not just people's money, you're going to need their connections, their influences, their social networks. So, definitely if you're thinking about it, go there. And if you're an investor, please reach out to Alfons. Alfons, my friend, you're a class act. You're an inspiration to so many. And I know, unfortunately, I won't be able to be with you in the Netherlands, which I've been before, and I was really looking forward to having a drink with you. But I know you're a big basketball fan, so there will be some future episodes of Twist of Fate. I'm really excited to have some things going on with basketball. I think you're going to enjoy that. And we're also an official partner of the Sacramento Kings, so I'm really looking forward to hosting you out here in the States at some point, and maybe we'll even see if I can get you out on the basketball court. But, I'm not what I used to be. I can tell you that up front, so. But maybe we can get out.
You can always use an exoskeleton deck.
So, no, I really look forward to that, Alfons. In the future, and in my final reflections, again, I go back to, it's a special gift we all have to be able to be independent, to walk upright when we want. And unfortunately, there are those that we live with that are going to need our help in bringing innovative new technologies to restore their functional independence. Able Human Motion is a great example. what you can see is the international community coming together to bring a step forward, a significant quantum leap in technology that will benefit all. And this is the way the world's supposed to be. This is how we're making the world a better place, not hypothetically, but right now. So please, if you're out there, learn about the story of Able Human Motion and what this coalition is trying to do to make the world a better place. And with that, thanks for joining another episode of Twist of Fate. Please subscribe, like, or share any of our content. We try to make this free content available to help entrepreneurs, business owners, and even the aspiring person that maybe you're thinking of managing your career online and moving in a new direction. I hope the stories of our entrepreneurs, and particularly Alfons, helps you find your passion and your problem that you want to solve. With that, looking forward to seeing you again on our next Twist of Fate.
Twist of Fate is hosted by Doug Younger. It's produced by John Lundvid and Matthew Brown at Ezo Creative. Moni Yu designs our graphics, and Enrique Pimentel manages our digital life. Our theme music is by Jamie Bathgate. Special thanks to all of our patrons. You can support the show by visiting patreon.com/Twist of Fate podcast. Thanks for listening.